Hey folks, this is Mickey G. Are y'all as tired of the automated phone calls, the junk emails, and the scam attempts as I am? Well, I can feel your pain. And Rodney and I talk about that today on this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School.
There's so many loopholes, man. It amazes me how in everyday people's lives we got so many checks and balances, but them crooks up there running these schemes and taking advantage of laws and everything to get over on people. They ain't doing nothing but collecting money.
Yeah. I got a check today from the company I bought my BMW for.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't got no kind of explanation on it. Came up out of the blue, so I go out online trying to figure out what's going on because I'm thinking same thing. It's probably a scam, But I mean, the company I know, that's like I say, that's who I dealt with. They own a number of BMW companies, through the Southeast. It's like BMW Nashville, but Sonic Automotive is the one who owns all of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I get this check in today. I'm trying to look on the check. I mean, it's like three folded pages. So there's plenty of space on there to put while I'm getting this check. No explanation. So I go out there and Google it. And I guess, because the company's based in South Carolina, I guess there was some kind of something going on with their accounting practices, how they do, when you go in and buy a car, there's so many different charges for this and charges for that and all that kind of dealer fees and stuff. You sort of get lost in, okay, I guess it's all legit, it seems like everybody does it kind of thing. But I guess there was something about the way they were accounting for car sales and things that I guess the attorney general of South Carolina felt that they violated the law or something, so they had to send out all these refunds.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what it's for. I mean, I don't know for sure, but after going out and read that story, it looks like that's what it was for, because they were saying all of their affiliate companies, not only in South Carolina, was they won't have to pay back a certain fee that they was charging, or they were doing some of the accounting and holding money for too long or something. I don't know what. I just quite understand it all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, but these days and times, you're really skeptical when a check just shows up in the mail and you have had nothing of anybody telling you to expect it or why you're going to get it or anything. It just shows up and there's no explanation there at all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you have to be a little leery of stuff these days in time, because people can make things look very legit.
Yeah, they do, and I'm just going through that now, which I just don't adhere to any of it. When I started the Medicare thing, I was just using regular Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the base one time to the commissary, and they had this booth set up out there with these two guys, and they was asking. They said, "Well, how would you like to not have to pay your $100 per month for Medicare?" I said, "Nah, I'm not really interested in that one." He said, "Hey," "this is a new program set up for military veterans where they can waive your monthly fee, put it to zero, and you can go through Humana." Now I've since seen that a lot of these companies that are now vendors with Medicare to offer different services. Well, you see all the commercials and shit.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I gave it a bit of, the flippant, well, it must be halfway to legitimate if they let them on base right here in front of the commissary to sign you up. So I checked him out, and of course he did. But then I started getting all these calls from Humana. Every time I went to the doctor, calling here, wanting me to do a survey. I'm like, I ain't doing that mess, and then they'll call here. One called here yesterday morning talking about appointment that I had gone to. They wanted to ask me some questions about it. But this is how the phone rang. This is Humana. Is this Rodney Turner? Say yes. I'm like, that that reminds me of, them scams,
Right,
where
right,
they get you to say yes. I'm like, now if this is a legitimate, business dealing with veterans and dealing with senior citizens. I was just sitting there thinking, that's why these old people always get caught up, because it sounded, this is Humana,
mm-hmm.
and is this Rodney Turner? I was like, I clicked, I hung it up, so I called my rep. I said, hey man, I said, what's all these calls from Humana that I'm getting? I said, before I got with y'all, I didn't get no calls like that. I got my monthly or quarterly thing that they send out to show you. It's like an explanation of benefit kind of deal. And he said, well, you shouldn't be getting any calls from Humana. I said, well, I'm getting them on a regular basis. So he said, okay, hold on. And he put us on a three-way with a representative from Humana and saying, he's like, well, Mr. Turner does not want to receive any calls from Humana. And, unless it's something, serious kind of thing.
Right, right.
And so he went through and put my name in there, my phone number, and Rosalind's phone number. And so that we're not supposed to be getting them, but we still getting them. And the first thing it says, this Rodney Turner. I'm like, hell no. Because I hit the 0 a couple of times to see if it would go to a person.
Right.
Didn't do that. I'm like, no, I ain't finna sit up here so you can record me saying yes. I don't know what I'm saying yes to. And so yeah, got one yesterday morning. I'm like, boy, these folks here are something else, man. And the dude said, well, you're not supposed to be getting any calls from Humana, And I said, all right. So I got one earlier last week because I was telling you about how I was going in and getting my heart checked out and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I didn't think no more about it when the doctor said it, but I guess that's why they had them appointments so far back. They had already ran it through Humana. Humana called and said, your tests, your appointments have been approved. I was like, I didn't know they was in the status not to be approved. So I said, okay, now I can deal with that kind of information, but don't call here asking me to say, yes, is this Rodney Turner? I'm like, oh, no. So, man, it's always something, man.
Yeah, well, a similar thing, not sort of similar thing, but we were having a issue at the museum because we use QuickBooks for our financial stuff, and the girl that's our treasurer, not the most computer literate person, so she always calls me. Matter of fact, when they were having problems setting it up first time, she called and asked me if I'd come and help them, so I went and did that, and they were calling me at the house because I was using my cell phone when I was working with them. They were calling saying we were having some problems with your QuickBooks and trying to get it synced and all your updates done. So I told her, I said, well, just give them a call and see what they said. Well, when I called to get it set up, it was somewhere overseas. You could tell from the voice and all that kind of was somewhere overseas. So she said, Mickey, I called him. She said, I just can't understand what the guy's saying. He's telling me to do things and I just can't understand him. I keep saying, there's someone that I can talk to that I can understand. He keeps saying, no, it's I'm the person and, do this. And I just can't understand. I said, well, just, no problem. She said, finally, I just hung up. I said, no problem. Just go ahead and I'll call them. I said, they've called me too saying we need to talk to you about your QuickBooks. And I said, well, I'm at home. I said, this is my home number. I'm not even in the office where the QuickBooks is. I'll give you a call then. Well, something told me to go out and Google QuickBooks, customer service. So I went out and they have the number out there. So I looked at these numbers that they'd been calling me on and none of them were the numbers for them. So I said, well, when I get up there, I'm going to call this number that's out here on the web at QuickBooks site for customer support. So I called them up and I said, we've been getting phone calls saying that we needed to call back and there was some problem syncing our updates with our QuickBook files and there were, we could lose data and all this kind of stuff. So I'm just calling back to see about, what we need to do. And the lady said, oh, did you call in and tell us you were having some issues? I said, oh, no, we didn't call in and say we were having an issue. Y'all were calling us, telling us that we had an issue with our system. And she said, sir, we never call you. We don't call you until you call us and say we have a problem. And then we get back with you on that problem. But we never call you initially. I said, well, I got the numbers right here that y'all been calling me on. She said, well, what numbers do you have? I gave it was like two different numbers they'd call it. One was a woman and one was a man. So I gave them both numbers that they called me on. She said, let me go in and check. She said, I went in our database. None of those are any of our numbers. She said, I don't know who's been calling you, but it's not, QuickBooks customer support. And she said, the one thing I just want to make sure you remember, we will never call you. You have to call us first and tell us you're having a problem, and we'll work to solve the problem. So she said, I'm going to send this all to our fraud department and make them aware of it. And she said, if you were having problems with your system syncing and stuff, the system would tell you that, not somebody calling you on the phone. And I said, I'm looking at it here, and it said, I'm looking at our updates, and it says all our updates have been done. So I said, okay. I said, I something I never would have thought about, because, like I say, one thing, they had used my number before, so obviously they had my number. They sounded legit. Like I say, there was a foreign sounding name that I talked to set things up. And now, I call up here and they're telling me, we would never call you. That wasn't us calling you. Those numbers, we don't know where those numbers are coming from. So yeah, I mean, you just never know. You just never know what people are doing, and they're trying to scheme you and fraud you any way they can. It's just sort of pathetic in a way that people have nothing better to do, but they know there's going to be someone out there. And if we had kept going with the calls that they made, we probably would have been a victim too. It sounded legit. We probably would have went in, gave them access to the system, even though we don't, carry any other kind of financial information in there. We do, they do checks. And I think there may be a link to the bank account it goes to. I'm not sure, but yeah, we, sounded, pretty legit. And they even called back after I had this conversation, and I told the person, I said, look, I've already talked to QuickBooks customer support, and they told me they don't call us. So why are you calling me? And this number is not a number that QuickBooks customers even has. But, well, sir, we're going to have to do that. I said, no. And I just hung the phone up, Well, yeah, I mean, you just got to be on the lookout. It's a sad commentary that you almost can't trust hardly anything.
Yeah, that's right. Even with this situation, they did the same thing. They call in my number and asking, is this Rosalind Turner? Well, I don't know if they've gotten some of their information hijacked or whatnot, but it's like with this guy, I set up with them not to call. Medicare is not a joint account. Each individual has their own account.
Right.
I said, and this guy knew when he set it up, he's got Rosalind's separate number from mine. So why the hell would you be calling me, asking me, is this Rosalind Turner? Same thing. I was like, no, something ain't right here. So I'm like, no, I hang up on their asses. So
yeah, you have to be skeptical of all that stuff, and because you just never know who's out there trying to scam. I mean, they had a report on the news just the other day about some elderly people getting scammed. One couple I think it sent them people like $75,000 for. I'm trying to think of what this was about. I can't think of what it was about now. But they were saying, beware of these scams. Question everything. If you're not sure about it, try to find out some way. Either call a family member, a friend, say, look, I've been getting these phone calls. Maybe if you don't know about computers and stuff, so can you go out there and see if this is legit or whatever? But you almost have to question everything.
Everything, yes, sir. And I even had one finally a warm body. It was a sister. I could tell by the way she was talking to her, call me, and her crap was shady. I'm like, well, I've never received a call like this before. Well, we've, again, she identified herself with Humana, but she ain't never called back no more. I forget what it was about. It's been a while back, but I'm like, no, and I usually hang up on them just like I generally do these people that, wake me up every other morning, want to know if I'll take an offer for my house. Like, I'd have told you to take me off that damn list. My house is not for sale. And but it's always it's pretty bad. I answer the phone with an attitude because I know it's some BS. All 3/4 of the time. Yeah, hello. Especially when is Rodney there? I'm like, who's asking? you don't even know me to call me Rodney.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. And that's what I tell people about me. I can almost tell 99.9% of the time if I get a phone call and somebody asks for James, I know it's somebody that don't know me.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
everybody I know and they call me Mickey.
right,
So
right.
whenever I get that phone call and the first thing they ask about is James there, then I know it. Like I say, it's somebody trying to get some money for something or somebody trying to run a scam. Because especially if they call them a house phone, because I
Yeah,
pretty much give 99% of the people my cell phone
yeah,
anymore. So if they call on the house phone, they ask for James, I know it's some kind of scam.
yes, sir. That's exactly right, man. And even now I look at the number like I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I'm the
I
same way.
won't even answer it.
I don't need. I figure if it is legit, they're gonna leave a message.
Leave a message. Yep.
Yeah, so I looked in. If I don't know the number right off, because most of the numbers that coming in from people that I know, I have their name anyway. It'll say
Right.
call from Rodney or whatever.
Yep.
But if
Yep.
it's some strange number that I don't know or 800 number, something like that, I'll let it go. I'll let it go to voicemail. And it's amazing how many of those calls don't leave a voicemail.
That's
And
right.
that's when I know it's not legit. Then I said, now if it was something important and
Yes, sir.
official, they would have left a voicemail, and they don't.
That's right. And now these suckers are, especially local ones, are getting they have a 888 number or 800 number, and then they'll call and that 800 number be up there, but then up under they have the 405 number on. I'm
Mm-mm.
like, look at this crap. And so I just don't, especially my landline, I don't answer nothing on there unless, like you said, somebody that I know, the numbers in there, and then I'll get it. But for the most part, I bank on the answering machine. Because soon as it rings down there, I start listening for the answering machine. See if I can hear it to see if it's legit or not. But
Yeah, I was showing the folks up at the museum. We was up there for our meeting the other day. I got an email. I got an email from Mickey Gwynn to Mickey Gwynn, and I looked, and it's one of those emails. I don't know if you got the one says, I know you're gonna be shocked when you see these photos or something like that.
uh,
And I looked over there, so it was the email came from Mickey Gwynn to me. And I said, okay, I'm sending myself. I told myself, I'm sending my own self emails now. you know, and I used to do the same thing on the phone. I get the phone would ring, I look on the caller ID, and it's the Gwynns
it's
calling
there.
me.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. Boy, they'll
Great.
go to any links, man.
Yeah,
The
yeah. Well,
hustle is on, man.
they get they got these computer programs now that it would just dial random numbers all day long.
Hmm.
Trying to get a hit. They'll just
Hmm.
dial numbers all day long, and they'll finally get around to where they're calling the number that's coming up is the number supposedly they're calling. Like I say, I'm calling myself now.
Yep,
you know.
that's right, man. It just amazes me. I'm like, man, this is something else here. Only time I answer it is like this month I've been answering because I had so many appointments set up and some things going on, and then dealing with this law firm thing, I have to answer it because I give them my cell phone number, but they've called my home phone a few times too and left messages. When it comes up, I answer it because I just don't know if it's something I need. But as soon as I hear that delay when I say hello, hello, click. It tells me right there, you didn't hit
Yeah.
the button in time.
Yeah, and I've noticed around here, it seems like we brought our Maryland cell phone numbers and never changed them. We've been there almost 20
Mhm.
years now, but it just seems like people when you fill out paper, they want your home phone and your cell phone kind of thing. And it just seems like that people get so in tune to it's got to be a local number that they'll call the home phone, asking for me or most time asking for Marion. They'll call and say, "Can I speak to Miss Marion, please?" And I'm like, she's not here. She's at work or she's out doing some thing. I said, do you have her cell phone? Is that the 301 number? I said, yeah, that's her cell phone. But they seem like there's just something ingrained in them that they had to call the local number first.
Right, right.
Just because we have that out of local area cell phone number, but they'll call that local number first. And I'll ask them if they got the cell phone. Yeah, we got the cell phone. But
Hmm.
I guess it's just that mindset.
You know it. Boy, you gotta be on guard. Dang.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel bad now because I used to I ain't got no sympathy for these old people. You know, already, you know, whatever stage of life you in, you done shot your shot. Why are you getting involved with all of these other things, you know? But hell, if they make it so easy for you to do, I'm sitting here, I'm like, hey, I'll take all that back. Folks probably got scammed on something that really sound legitimate, you know, because I used to watch those uh, American Greed, you know, and still catch it from time to time. But they always have this elderly couple on there who already had millions, but somebody came in and talked them into, you can double your money. And I'm like,
Mhm.
see, your greedy ass got caught.
Yeah.
You know, you already, how much is enough? You know, you done already got, you know, you sitting off well, you're down there in Arizona living nice, everything paid for and all that. And then you want to try to scam get some more, you know, and you get scammed. So I'm like,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
there comes a time when enough is enough, you know?
And I think a lot of times, that's what they prey on those people that has that greed,
Yeah.
that they can talk in. Like I say, there are just certain people that just want more and more and more,
Yep.
and they
Yep.
go out looking for them. And, between those people and the people who just truly, sometimes, I mean, they scare them. I mean, there's been some scams around here with
Yeah.
people calling in saying that they're detective so and so from the sheriff's department, and you have
Mhm.
an outstanding warrant, and we're going to come and arrest you if you don't send. The thing that tell people, if the sheriff department call you and say, if you don't go out and buy a green card and put some money on it, we're
Uh,
going to come get. That should be the sheriff department is a governmental agency. They should at least say, come down to the office or send it to some kind of .gov or .state somewhere. But no, go get a green card and put this money on it. Call us back and give us that number, and you'll be taken care of. And then, and the time that this happened, people said, well, I just didn't know. And I'm like, well, if you got an outstanding warrant or outstanding ticket or something, you think you would know that, start with. You think you would know that.
yep.
But they say, well, they said it was so and so from the sheriff department. I got scared, and I'm like, well, maybe there's something out there I just forgot about, and I just wanted to take care of it, so I went and got that green card. And I'm like, you got a green card? Come on. But
Mhm.
yeah, it happens all the time.
It does, man. I got a call like that one time when we lived in our other place over there, you know, years ago. And I ended up telling the dude, I said, well, okay, Barney Badass, bring your ass on over here and get it. You know, I ain't heard nothing else.
No, and you ain't, because people like that, yeah, they let go real quick. But the
Yeah.
ones that, even ones that stumble just a little bit, I don't really remember that. Well, let me tell you, you ain't
Yeah.
got to remember. I got it right here, and you did it. Yeah, when they hear that little bit of doubt in your voice, then they try to prance. Then
Oh yeah. And see, I know like here, it was portrayed to be the one and only in the United States. Uh, where when I worked for the Supreme Court, they were developing a system in the judiciary where uh, it's up and running now. I don't know to what extent because they hired all these incompetent ass people. When it got off the ground, they had to scrap it about 3 or 4 times after spending $1 jillion. But it's called OSCN.net, where you can go in and any resident of Oklahoma tells you their whole damn history: divorce, married, bankruptcy, jail, you name it. And uh, when we were doing this thing I was telling you about with the lawyers, uh, he went on. He said, "Well, they got this system here. We were talking about something." He said, "I'm going to go on to." No, he's telling us you can go on to OSCN.net. I said, "Yeah, I'm familiar with that." I said, "I worked in the office where they were developing that." And like, oh, yeah, we got to rambling about that, him being a lawyer and all. But them women up there used to use it when their daughters went out hoeing and meet a guy. They come back, they investigate, they know his whole damn story. Oh, he got 2 kids. Oh, I was walking down the hall one day and I saw them all huddling around the computer. I'm like, what y'all doing? Oh, I forget who it was. One of the daughter, she met a guy. and we're checking them out. I'm like, what? I'm like, hell, that just shows you where my mind goes. I wasn't even thinking about it. I know you could go in and check people out, but I never thought about using it as a vetting system. Oh, he's been married. Oh, boy, they had all the goods on them dudes when they
I heard that. Yeah.
and checking it all out. But yeah, man, I that kind of stuff. Rather, we were riding somewhere the other day, and she said, "I don't know about you." I'm like, "What?" She said, "You're leery of everybody." I'm like, "Hell, you have to be these days."
Yeah.
You know, I said,
Yeah, you do.
me being leery allows you to sit over there and just not have to worry about a damn thing." You know.
Yeah.
You don't trust nobody. I said, hey, I do trust somebody. I trust somebody I know. But everybody else is up for debate, you know.
I
Yeah,
heard
people
that.
will tell you anything, man, to get what they're trying to get.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, is that system you were talking about? Is that taken out of just public record stuff?
Yep. It's
Yeah.
taken out of public record and and mainly it focuses on the judicial actions,
Uh-huh.
but it tells you everything about them. Everything you want to know, driver's license number,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think they put the socials on there, but yeah, it tells you everything about that person. I think it goes all the way back to when you came out of the birth canal and all that they got on there, man. But I know they were having problems at one time, and because they went out and hired old dude and trying to get it off. So I don't know to what extent. I haven't been on there since back then.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, my job didn't require me to go. Well, theirs didn't either, but they were just nosy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I never even really checked it out. But yeah, man, it does it. I don't know if they expanded it to be in the FBI database. They were getting off on it because they wanted to be the benchmark. They wanted to be the one to say, well, Oklahoma, is the one that did this and all that. So I don't know what, but it's up and running. I don't
Yeah.
know to what extent.
Yeah. Because I know when I was in the VA, we had access to that system from that company called LexisNexis.
Oh yeah.
And
See, that's who
and
we were
they
using. That's who we were
oh, okay.
using before, and then they
Okay.
decided to strike out on their own.
Yeah, because they had all kind of stuff, and we were trying to find some information. There was a data breach. We were trying to find some information on people that we couldn't. The VA system didn't have the correct information, like addresses and phone numbers and stuff like that. So we used them for things like that. But once again, to go into the system, you had to go through that disclaimer thing, that first screen that says this is a legitimate reason, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And really, I mean, you're only supposed to have access to it for legitimate reasons, obviously.
Mm.
And I went in there and was looking around and trying to find information on these people. And I think I told you, I never realized how often people had the same social security number. I guess from my days in the military, I always thought once you got a social security number, you were the only person that could ever have that social security number. And I guess in theory you are. And I went in there and I'm like, well, I'm trying to find information on, John Smith. Okay. They said, okay. They come up with that's John Smith, and they had John Smith with like the same address. And then they had Bill White, same social security number. Then they had Mary Jones, same social security. I said, wait a minute. I said, how can these people have that same social security number? He said, through fraud. He said, it happens all the time. He said, and I said, you kidding me? No, it happens all the time. He said, there will be, 10 people tied to a single social security number. And depending on what agency or what you're doing with that social security number, sometimes they never connect the dots. We don't have anything to do with that. So we didn't know he was using it for this reason. Or we had nothing to do with that. So we didn't know he was using it for that reason. And I'm like, you kidding me? He said, no. He said, you'll be surprised how many people are using that same social security number for different things, especially like, illegal aliens, people like that get these social security numbers and they're going to get services and things. The state is not checking to make sure that social security number is not being used, say for Medicare or something of that nature, whatever it may be. So yeah, he said that happens all the time. I tell you, that was an eye opener for me because I just didn't realize how prevalent that was.
Oh yeah, man, these folks out here are crooked as hell, man. I mean, just look at Trump's deal right now. All of them, or all the cats, or the chickens are coming home to roost because they all were cheating and lying up in there to get what they want, you know. And I know from working with them lawyers that I've worked with over the years, their whole way of thinking is at least try it, you know. It's better to beg for forgiveness for the first time. Oh, I didn't know. You damn well knew already, but you gonna, you know, 'cause I worked for a lawyer and she tried to get me to play on that. And no, that works for you. My ass will be up under the jail.
No. Don't send yourself to jail just because somebody else can get away with doing dirt. Always think about that before you make those decisions. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition. Please join us next time for the next version of Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.